Welcome to the Go Electric Fleet Show. This is where we sit down and chat about EV fleets, infrastructure, and more. Join us as we explore EV fleets here in BC. Earlier this year, we attended the Zero-Emission Fleets Reconnect conference right here in North Vancouver, and there were a lot of panel discussions and seminars that we got to look at. Here's just one of them. Trendwatching the EV evolution of medium-duty and heavy-duty vehicles. Now, this panel discussion was moderated by Dale Littlejohn, CEO of the Community Energy Association.
My name's Dale Littlejohn, CEO of Community Energy Association. We're a non-profit society that was started in 1995 by UBCM and the province of BC, Ministry of Energy. Great to see Minister Osborne up there, who's a graduate of our BC Municipal Climate Leadership Council, and of course TransLink and BC Transit, Hydro and Fortis were around the table in 1995 and through to today. So great to see those partnerships continuing to evolve. And City of North Van and District of North Van were two of the first municipal members of Community Association. So great to see the continued leadership in the city. We've grown from a team of 3 when I joined in 2006 to about 50 right now. For those of you who aren't part of our municipal transportation peer group, please sign up. It's a great resource to connect with other communities on what they're doing with electric vehicles. So I'd like to open it up with the first of a couple of questions to the whole panel. What trends and challenges do you expect to shape the medium-duty and heavy-duty electric and low-carbon fleets over the next 10 years in BC? Who wants to start? Who wants to tackle that first? David.
Thanks. It's an interesting and challenging question. We've had the opportunity to go out and interview a lot of fleets that are actually doing this. One of the big challenges, I know we have a lot of people in municipal government here today. We need you to act faster, and let me just scare you a little bit. That right now, typically the truck manufacturers that produce internal combustion engines, their order boards are sold out for at least a year in advance, meaning if you need a new vehicle, you're not going to get it until at least March of 2025. So if you happen to wreck a truck, have one die, pick up some new business, and you need another truck, the number of new truck OEMs, I've been in this industry for 40 years. The first 35 years, there were no new OEMs. And in the last 5 years, there are so many new OEMs, I'm willing to bet no one here can name them all, including somebody in the business. They're just coming on rapidly. You can get a new battery electric truck in 6 to 9 months. I'm willing to bet BC Hydro and most other utilities aren't able to put in infrastructure in under 6 to 9 months, and I see at least one head shaking here. So we have a challenge in how fast can we process permits and other things and make this happen quickly so this transition can move forward. That we ran into 2 of the 10 fleets in our big demonstration that couldn't get there fast enough. So not getting there fast enough means temporary situations that go in that are charging during the day rather than smart charging at night. And it just has negative ramifications all the way across the board. So we need to learn to get fast.
Neil. Yeah, I'll just pick up on that because when you were talking about the pilot sites today, and that's where we are really with a lot of pilot sites. We're already seeing challenges with interconnection. We're already noticing that there are megawatts of power where the utilities did not expect megawatts of power to be. And Corey, you were talking about long-haul trucking. That is not a return-to-base operation. So not only are we facing challenges of, area zoned for warehousing or industrial that are now having, new megawatts of load that they're going to need in the next year or 2, but we're also looking at highway sites that that have had trucking facilities, but now need megawatts of power that we need to plan for. So, we see that as, a challenge and an opportunity. So with policies like ZEV mandates coming in, we kind of see what direction we're going. The trajectory is there. And so now we need to build out to it. And so, yes, there's going to be pain in the short term. talking to some fleets, when we're talking about, what are their biggest pain points, it's electrical connection. And something is 2 years away. It's either getting transformers and getting power to site. So the more we can plan now, the fleets working with the utilities to let them know, when they will bring load online, and that can be forecasted not just on the power side, but on the transmission and distribution side, I think is going to help significantly. And another challenge I think there, or opportunity, is looking at rate design and how we get creative with rate design for this new use case or class of consumers.
The only thing that, is this on? Yeah. The only thing that I would add to that is a bit of a different mix. There's a lot of misinformation and there's a lot of education that has to go with our industry. When you look at the transportation sector and the industry in the transportation sector in BC, it's much different than other major sectors. When you look at the GDP in about $2.4 billion, most of the companies that operate in BC, 87% are 5 or less trucks, the true blue mom and pop type of companies. 94% of the industry is 10 or less trucks. There's only 22 companies in BC that actually have more than 100 employees. So the more we can do to educate them on what the availability of the BEVs are, what the hydrogen fuel cell trucks are, what their duty cycles are, to demonstrate and build their confidence that they can adopt these along their fleet and that it will work, the more that we'll see that expedited pickup of these vehicles.
Well, I hate to say this from somebody who's homegrown here, but Canadians are moving a lot slower than the U.S. counterparts, and certainly a lot of companies in Europe. And what I mean by that is that that's not necessarily a negative thing, is that the industry wasn't set up to handle things like the very cold climates that exist in many of our provinces. And 5 years ago, there wasn't what I would call a cold weather or winter package that was really adequate to handle our weather across the country. So those are now coming into the fore, and really there should be a lot less reluctance to try out or to start the process of how to adopt or electrify. But I'd say it's the speed or the pace is, I'm not sure how we move it forward faster, but it certainly is a big headwind right now across all of North America for that matter.
Thanks a lot. That's some interesting challenges there. How do we get around some of them? What roles do you see for the federal, provincial, and particularly given that a third of the audience is local government, the local government role in accelerating electric and low carbon, medium duty and heavy duty, and there may be differences between medium duty and heavy duty in terms of the local government role. Who wants to tackle that one?
I'll start on this. Well, I'd say that in the California, which is why I would say a clear leader in terms of defining both policy and mandates, is we've always had a philosophy of money and mandates are stick and carrot. And BC has done a great job on the money side. A combination of the BC SUVI federal program covers 75% of the or up to 75% of the cost of many of the vehicles. That makes a huge difference on that side of it. But there's no stick. There's goals and objectives that are set, and the sticks could be even implemented at a local level, where cities take on the objective of we want at least 10% of our fleet to be electric. Whether it's on the commercial passenger side, the setting up the charging infrastructure. And I say 10% because that's the mandate that California has set for 2024, that all cities are required to have all new purchases at least 10% this year, and it goes up to 100% over the next 5 years. So that's the side that could be implemented that could help accelerate and help the cities learn what works and what doesn't work for them in terms of electrification.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say something similar. Corey, you mentioned kind of the composition of medium and heavy duty fleets, and especially long haul fleets. a large portion are small operators, and they're looking at larger private organizations, but also municipalities can be that leading by example, showing that different use cases and different types of vehicle, configurations are available in electric, and they can work. Key thing, is a really powerful tool or visual impact that these fleets can then take on and feel confident going electric. And then, Fraser, you mentioned kind of the carrot and stick approach, and I think that is the holistic way that we have to approach it right now, especially we're at the early adoption stage, pilot stage. We have to set those foundational policies both on the vehicle and fuel side. So the ZEV mandates, and I know BC is in consultation. They've committed to align, with California's policy. We've had a low carbon fuel standard almost as long as California. So here we're saying vehicles need to be zero emission by X date. We're saying fuels need to reduce carbon by this much. And then in the meantime, how do we help, get those, the early adopters and get us from the early adopters to early majority market? And that's with the incentive programs and other type of barrier reduction policies that can really unstick those first couple of fleet deployments.
I would suggest and I'm going to go off the electrical path here for a moment, that there are a whole lot of things that could be done for fleets in the British Columbia area just by adopting current technology vehicles that are for sale. Our studies of how to save diesel fuel and sip it instead of guzzle it for the first 10 years of our existence say that vehicles improve about 2% per year in fuel efficiency. So if the average vehicle is, say, 13 years old, a new vehicle's 26% more fuel efficient. Just getting some old vehicles off the road and buying current technology is a huge step forward. And there's a lot of other alternative fuels with renewable diesel, renewable natural gas and whatnot that can help. And certainly, look at the opportunities to get those easy, low-hanging fruit vehicles switched over to battery electric, because you have such a clean grid here in British Columbia that getting a diesel truck off the road and putting a new battery electric vehicle, you're making a huge jump. It's not just a zero emissions vehicle, it's a zero emissions situation. It's pretty cool.
You've stolen a lot of what I'm going to be talking about. If anybody's interested in this, is a bit of a shameless plug. Dale's already talked about it. We actually published a couple weeks ago our path for 2030, a white paper that identifies as what we want to see and should be seeing if we want to start to achieve our targets for 2030, 2040. The two key pieces I would say is from a municipality standpoint, they have significant fleets and they have a significant diversity of fleet sizes ranging anywhere from class 3, class 2B, all the way up to class 7. And the municipalities in BC also have deeper pockets than the mom and pop companies that run trucking companies. The more we can partner to trial those individual vehicles and the range of those vehicles across those individual duty cycles and publish that information to demonstrate where it can work, where it cannot work, where it breaks, will be invaluable to help really debunk some of the myths and some of the obstacles and barriers that our industry sees. The other piece is, and you've heard a bit of an echo here, is we need to find a way to do more with the existing diesel vehicles we have on the road right now. Based on the modeling that we've done, anywhere from 78 to 88% of the vehicles on the road in 2040 will still be diesel. Now, as Dave talked about, they're getting significantly more efficient. If you turn over a 2010 to a 2021 model year truck, then you're looking at saving 20.5% fuel savings. That goes a long way to meeting our 2030, 2040 goals. Now, yes, it also means it's going to be on the road for anywhere from 14 to 28 years, but that's the nature of our industry on that path. The other issue that we have is that education piece, and the more we can work with municipalities and government on having those pilot projects, it will go a long way. Just as a way of a stat, we've surveyed our industry in the summer of last year, and what we found is the vast majority of our industry, because of payload constraints, because of unknown cold weather operability, because of range anxiety, the vast majority of our industry doesn't believe that ZEV vehicles will be available, whether it's battery electric or hydrogen fuel cell, until about 10.5 years from now. They also don't anticipate buying those vehicles for another 1.3 years because they want the big companies to prove that it works first because they don't have that resilience on that side. So the more we can educate, the more they will buy green power, the more they will buy the Rizon or the BYD out there and really tackle the issue that we have with climate change.
Thanks a lot, Corey. A lot of the same thoughts came up during our NRCan research, particularly on the medium-duty fleets a couple of years ago, where there's a significant public sector role for purchasing and running the vehicles in the real world locally and publishing the performance data to help de-risk the investment for private sector. There's probably also a significant opportunity to leverage local government supply chains with contracted services to encourage the local government suppliers who are running the larger vehicles to move towards either electric or low carbon. So what I've heard from you guys is there's real vehicles out there right now that are great for a lot of duty cycles. The technology is ready, not for everything, but for a lot of it. And there's a role to adopt it and get it out there and publish it and show it so that it can be done, as well as to work with the province and the utilities to accelerate the ability to deploy an eye-watering amount of charging infrastructure, particularly for the larger vehicles. So, thank you very much. It's been an honor to be up here with such knowledgeable folks, and I think that's a wrap for the panel.
Thank you.
Hey there. Thanks for joining us on the Go Electric Fleet Show. Please like and subscribe for more content about electric vehicle fleets in British Columbia and beyond.